Beauty and the Beak: How Science, Technology, and a 3D Printed Beak Rescued a Bald Eagle. This is by Deborah Lee Rose and Jane Veldkamp. In a huge nest of twigs high above an icy cold Alaskan river, a bald eagle chick cracked open her egg. For 2 days the baby eagle had scraped her beak against the inside of the eggshell. Now she pushed hard with her head till the eggshell split open. She was out. The cold wind swept over the large eagle nest perched in a tall old tree. The eaglet was covered only in thin gray and white down. She shivered in the freezing air until her mother tucked the baby under her own warm body. Even before the eagle chick could see, she started to take bits of fish from her parents' beaks into her beak. Soon her wings became longer and stronger. In 1 month she could see, stand on her own, and begin to tear her food with her own beak. By 6 weeks, she was almost as big as her parents, with a wingspan of more than 6 feet. Bit by bit, her body became covered with thousands of feathers she would need to fly and keep warm. She used her beak to preen the feathers every day. She cleaned and smoothed them, shifted them to stay warm or cool off, and waterproofed them with oil from a gland near her tail. By early summer, the young eagle watched while other eagles soared and swooped over the river. One day she was hopping and flapping around the nest when a sudden gust of wind lifted her into the air. For a moment, she was flying. All summer she took longer and longer flights, and in time she learned to hunt fish from the river. But when winter came again, the river surface froze. Now the eagle had to search far from home to find food and open water that was not frozen. She flew thousands of miles, soaring over mountains and valleys, cities and farms, always on the lookout for new sources of food. Older and stronger eagles sometimes chased or attacked her if she flew through their territory. The older eagle would lock talons with her. Then the two birds would spin like a helicopter down through the sky until she let go and flew away. Once the eagle found safer territory with plenty of prey, she became a powerful hunter. From high in the sky she spotted fish swimming in the shallow water, and then she dove down and sped over the water with her feet thrust out in front of her. She grabbed her prey by locking her sharp talons in place and carried off the fish she had caught. By the time she was 4 years old, the eagle's head and tail feathers started to turn white. Her beak and feathers began to turn golden yellow. At last, she was ready for the long trip back to the river where she had learned to fly. There she would find a mate, and together they would use their beaks to build and shape a nest of twigs where they could raise their own eaglets. When the eagle reached the river, she swooped down to catch a silvery salmon from the fast-moving water. The fish was so heavy she couldn't lift it. She clenched her talons tightly around it and swam to the shore, using her wings like oars to row. The eagle was so hungry she ate every bit of the fish, ripping off bite after bite of food with her sharp, hooked beak. Then she flew to a thick tree branch to rest and preen her feathers. Suddenly, a crash like lightning and thunder split the air. The eagle's face burned. She couldn't see. Her talons lost their grip, and the tree seemed to spin around her. She fell to the ground stunned. The sun was still high in the sky, but the eagle's world went dark. A bullet had shattered her beak. Her eye was torn, and her face was bleeding. It even hurt for her to breathe. The eagle lay on the ground for days, too weak to move. As time passed, she recovered enough to walk a short distance, but she could not fly or hunt. Now she had no top beak with which to preen her feathers or tear her food to eat. Her tongue was open to the air, and it dried out. She could barely scoop up water to drink. Each day, the eagle grew weaker. She was starving. A policeman found her at a landfill trying to peck for food among the garbage. She wasn't strong enough to fight. He was able to wrap her in a blanket and take her to a wildlife center. There the people cleaned and bandaged her wounded face and gave her medicine to stop any infection. They named her Beauty. Beauty's injuries took many months to heal, but her beak didn't grow back. She couldn't eat or drink without human help. The wildlife center had no room to keep her any longer, and in the wild, she would die. One day a visitor came, a raptor biologist named Janie. Janie's job was to help sick and injured birds of prey like eagles, owls, hawks, falcons, and ospreys. As soon as she saw Beauty, Janie knew she had to find a way to give the eagle a new beak. Janie took Beauty to her raptor center in Idaho. She and some volunteers built an outdoor aviary as big as a school bus. There, Beauty could live and take short flights. Janie traveled all around teaching people about raptors and sharing Beauty's stories. An engineer named Nate came with his daughters to hear Janie speak. And when Janie shared her idea of making a prosthetic beak that would look and move like Beauty's real beak, Nate said, "I think I can help you with Beauty." Nate had never worked with animals, but he and Janie both knew that bioengineers made replacement body parts for humans. First, Janie got her own dentist assistants, Carol and Corey, to make dental molds that showed the exact shape of Beauty's broken beak. With a laser scanner, Nate took measurements from these dental molds and from a model of a female bald eagle's skull. Putting all the measurements together, he used computer code to design the new beak's shape and how it would fit. Nate printed out the beak on a 3D printer. The printer made the beak from Nate's computer design, building up layer upon layer of melted plastic that hardened into shape. Janie chose the golden yellow color for the prosthetic beak to make Beauty look as she did in the wild. After hundreds of hours of work and many tests to fit the beak perfectly, the big day came to attach it. Janie wrapped Beauty's wings to keep her from moving, and for 3 hours, Janie never left Beauty's side. This time, Nate's own dentist, Ryan, had come to help attach the new beak. He and Janie put a small metal rod into Beauty's upper beak. The rod would anchor the new beak in place. But just when they were ready to glue the beak in, Beauty started to struggle. Her wings were so strong, she burst open the wrap around them. She thrashed her wings, trying to fly away. "You're all right, big girl. We're here to help you," said Janie, and she stroked Beauty's feathers to calm her. Beauty looked straight at Janie and quieted down. When Beauty was still, they tried the beak on again. Jane could see that Beauty's tongue wasn't moving right. Ryan had to use his dentist's grinding tool to carve out more space on the inside of the beak. Finally, everything was ready. Ryan spread dental glue on the broken edge of Beauty's top beak, and then he slid the new beak onto the metal rod. Janie held the beak tightly in place while the glue dried. When she took her hands away, the 3D printed beak looked almost as real as Beauty's own beak. But would the new beak work? Janie knew Beauty was very thirsty after her hours of surgery. Janie unwrapped Beauty's wings and carried her back to the aviator, setting her on her drinking perch. Beauty didn't hesitate. For the first time since she'd been shot, she leaned down, scooped up a beakful of water, threw back her head, and swallowed, just like an eagle in the wild.